Welcome to the Tim Booker channel, where wisdom deserves to be shared. We wish you a pleasant listening experience. Today, we are going to talk about one of the social science classics of the late 20th century, Guns, Germs, and Steel. This book is so famous that you'll often find it recommended by prominent figures. It's the masterpiece of Jared Diamond Ph.D., a renowned American historian. Published in 1997, it quickly became a global sensation, winning the 1998 Pulitzer Prize for Nonfiction and several other prestigious awards. It was highly recommended by influential readers like Bill Gates. The author, Jared Diamond Ph.D., started in the natural and biological sciences but later turned to history. His unique approach involves examining human history through the lens of climate, environment, resources, and technology. In his earlier work, The Third Chimpanzee, we discussed how he introduced this approach. However, Guns, Germs, and Steel is his magnum opus, tackling a profound question. The core question addressed in this book is, why do some nations, cultures, and civilizations thrive while others remain weak or impoverished? Why do some advance and create modern societies, while others remain in primitive conditions? Considering that biologists have shown that all humans share a common ancestry and have similar inherent capabilities, why such disparities? Furthermore, why did advanced civilizations and nations predominantly emerge in Eurasia, while other continents lagged behind? When Europeans embarked on colonization, they easily conquered other societies. Why? Diamond begins the book by recounting a personal experience that sparked his inquiry. While studying birds in New Guinea, a local black political leader asked him why white people could produce many goods while black people seemingly could not. This question left him pondering. Traditional explanations often attributed these disparities to inherent racial differences. However, Diamond's prolonged stay in New Guinea led him to realize that the average intelligence of the local black population was actually higher than that of typical Europeans or Americans. This observation prompted Diamond to delve deeper into the issue, leading him to a surprising conclusion: Eurasia possessed a comprehensive repository of natural resources necessary for the development of complex civilizations. Other continents lacked certain crucial elements, making them inherently disadvantaged. This revelation shook the academic world, challenging established notions. In the following sections, we'll explore why the author arrived at this groundbreaking conclusion. From the outset, the book emphasizes that the idea of racial equality is a noble slogan, but in reality, the world's various ethnic groups have never been equal. The dominance of Western powers, led by Western Europe and the United States, in shaping international laws and producing most of the world's goods is a testament to this inequality. The only forces with the potential to challenge the West are located in East Asia, including Japan, the East Asian Tigers, and post-reform China. All these powerful forces, both current dominators and potential challengers, are situated in Eurasia, or countries descended from European immigrants like the United States, Canada, and Australia. Historically, Eurasia has consistently led the world in culture, technology, and economy, rendering other continents essentially powerless when confronted. Since biologists have already proven that all humans share a common ancestry and exhibit no significant differences in intelligence, this book challenges the conventional wisdom. So why were the inhabitants of Eurasia always so dominant? Next, the author provides a detailed example: the Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire. The Inca Empire, located in the Andes Mountains of South America, encompassing regions like Peru, Ecuador, and northern Chile, was the most powerful empire in South America during the 14th and 15th centuries. On November 16, 1532, Spanish explorer Francisco Pizarro led 168 soldiers to the Peruvian town of Cajamarca, where they encountered the Inca Emperor Atahualpa and his 80,000-strong army. Half an hour later, Pizarro had defeated the Inca army and captured Atahualpa. Shortly thereafter, Pizarro's brother arrested the Inca Empire's general in a similar manner and defeated his elite forces. Pizarro demanded the largest ransom in history for Atahualpa's release, and the Inca emperor complied. However, after receiving the ransom, Pizarro broke his promise and executed Atahualpa, installing his brother Manco as a puppet Inca emperor. Later, Manco initiated an Inca uprising against the Spanish, winning several battles, even having some Spanish deserters join his cause. However, when Manco attempted to capture the Spanish's final stronghold, Lima, today's capital of Peru, he was ultimately defeated by the besieging Spanish forces. Manco fled with remnants of his army, but he was eventually assassinated by Spanish deserters. In just a few years, the Inca Empire, with a population of millions, was conquered by a relatively small number of Spanish invaders. Why did the Inca Empire fall? Atahualpa's defeat might have been due to his lack of experience in dealing with the Spanish, which made him complacent. In contrast, Pizarro and his group had accumulated extensive experience in dealing with indigenous peoples in Central America and had set traps from the beginning. Yet, Manco had significant experience dealing with the Spanish, often deceiving them and achieving some victories. He even employed Spanish deserters as military advisors. So, why couldn't the massive Inca forces, the formidable natural defenses of the Andes, and the courage, intelligence, and experience of their last emperor save the empire? Militarily, Spanish soldiers were equipped with steel armor, steel swords, and firearms capable of killing dozens of Incas in a minute. Inca soldiers, on the other hand, had stone axes, wooden clubs, and bows and arrows, which couldn't penetrate Spanish armor. Thus, Spanish soldiers could massacre them without much resistance. The few victories the Inca achieved against the Spanish were mostly in narrow mountain passes using large rocks. What the Inca and other Native Americans truly feared were the Spanish war horses. When faced with a charge of Spanish cavalry on open battlefields, they were utterly bewildered. In actual combat, a charge by 20 Spanish cavalrymen was enough to defeat 10,000 Inca soldiers in a matter of minutes. Despite the immense military technological advantage held by the Spanish, if the Incas had enough time and space, they might have potentially learned and adapted to these military technologies, as the revolutionary songs go, without guns, without cannons, the enemy made them for us. However, smallpox ravaged wherever the Spaniards went. Even before their encounter with Pizarro, the father and elder brother of Atahualpa had succumbed to smallpox, forcing him to hastily assume power amid the internal strife. He barely had time to contemplate how to deal with the Spanish invaders. Within the first century after Columbus landed, 95% of the Native American population died from European epidemics like smallpox, typhus, and influenza. Some indigenous tribes in North America managed to acquire horses and firearms, organizing more resilient resistance similar to what's depicted in the movie The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio. However, their population kept declining due to European diseases like smallpox, ultimately forcing them to yield to European invaders. Today, the number of Latin Americans of African descent far surpasses that of indigenous peoples because Native Americans suffered immense losses due to diseases. European colonists had to resort to importing African slaves for labor, and these Africans had stronger immune systems and were less susceptible to European diseases compared to Native Americans. In the 19th century, Chinese and Japanese laborers were also brought to Latin America in significant numbers and didn't suffer the same widespread epidemics as Native Americans. Moreover, when the Spanish and Portuguese ventured into East Asia, they didn't trigger the same devastating pandemics as they did in the Americas. With this, we can summarize a key point. The first question about why different countries, nations, and societies vary in strength, the author's answer essentially lies in the title of his book, Guns, Germs, and Steel. It was these advantages that enabled Europeans to dominate. Now, we move on to the second question. Why did these advantages emerge primarily on the Eurasian side? Let's take military technology as an example. Why did East Asians show significant resistance to European diseases while Native Americans were vulnerable? The book tells us that the emergence of these diseases is closely tied to animal husbandry. Diseases like measles, tuberculosis, and smallpox originated from cattle, while influenza came from pigs and ducks, and brucellosis from pigs and dogs. In essence, the more diverse and larger the scale of animal husbandry a society has, the more likely it is to be exposed to epidemics. However, over time, immunity can also develop. Animals like dogs, sheep, pigs, cattle, horses, camels, and poultry were all primarily domesticated on the Eurasian continent. These large mammals met certain stringent criteria: low cost of feeding, large size for meat production, social herd per flock behavior suitable for management, gentle temperament, resistance to injury, low fear response, ability to breed in captivity, and fast growth for profitability. In this regard, the pool of domesticated animals available in Eurasia was greater than anywhere else. As for crops, the Fertile Crescent region in the Middle East and Asia possessed the highest variety of cereals. It was the world's richest suite of plants suitable for large-scale agriculture. In contrast, the Americas lacked many suitable large mammals for domestication. Apart from the llama, alpaca, and guinea pig, they had few large domesticable mammals. They also lacked key cereal crops like wheat and barley. This disparity in animal and plant domestication set the stage for a vast difference in societal development. Eurasians, with their rich diversity of domesticated animals and crops, had a distinct advantage. Other continents lacked this combination, which slowed their societal progress, sometimes to a standstill. In conclusion, the susceptibility to European diseases in the Americas was due to the lack of animal domestication, and this, in turn, hampered their development in transportation and military capabilities. This difference ultimately gave Eurasia an edge in the development of civilizations. Throughout history, there has been continuous interaction between the Eastern Mediterranean and East Asia, exemplified by routes like the Silk Road and Spice Route. This interaction fueled technological, economic, and cultural developments across the entire Eurasian continent. Let's take firearms as an example. Early gunpowder weapons, invented in China, were improved upon by Arabs and later made their way to Europe. In Europe, they underwent continuous refinement during various conflicts. Finally, these firearms were reintroduced to China, taking the form of the falconet cannon. This process took approximately 5 centuries. The shape of the Eurasian continent, stretching east to west but narrow north to south, led to similar climates across different regions, facilitating human exchange. In contrast, Africa and the Americas, which are long north to south but narrow east to west, have greater climatic variation and less human interaction. Consequently, agriculture, animal husbandry, and industry first appeared in Eurasia and developed at a faster pace. Ultimately, the residents of Eurasia conquered human societies on other continents, according to Diamond. He views Eurasia's technological advantage as a result of continuous exchange, made possible by the continent's favorable geography, conducive to interaction between different civilizations. Diamond specifically mentions China as a beneficiary of this geographical advantage. China quickly absorbed many advanced civilizations and products due to its favorable geography and efficient dissemination of innovations. However, Diamond also points out that this geographical advantage could be a double-edged sword. A decision by an autocratic ruler could stifle reform and innovation, which has happened multiple times in Chinese history. Finally, Diamond emphasizes that traditional history is often not considered a true science and is among the least scientific of social sciences. It leans more toward literature and philosophy, providing few reliable statistical data. Most historical theories are often political propaganda and cannot be rigorously tested like scientific principles. History is a collection of sometimes unreliable facts, akin to a kaleidoscope with no discernible pattern. However, Diamond suggests that the future of history must integrate with the natural sciences for a more accurate understanding, making his unique approach of incorporating natural factors into historical analysis a promising new direction. That concludes this book. Thank you for listening. Congratulations on finishing another book, and thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker Channel audiobook channel, like, and share it with your family and friends. Wisdom deserves to be spread for a brighter future. Thank you, and goodbye.